Hello friends, this is Sanjay. In this video, we will be solving the 30 EVS questions from the CTET December 2021 paper 1. This specific paper was conducted on the 7th of January of 2022. This is the English version where I have covered all the questions and explained the answers in English. If you prefer to hear the explanations in Hindi, then there is a separate version where I have covered the same questions in Hindi as well, which you can watch. The CTET December 2021 examination started from the 16th of December of 2021 and was conducted all the way till the 21st of January of 2022. Now the exam was conducted over a period of 23 different days. So there are 23 different versions of paper 1 that we can solve. And since each paper has 30 questions from each subject, we will be solving 690 questions per subject, which means that in this series, we will be solving 690 questions from EVS. So these 690 questions will cover the entire EVS syllabus that you should be familiar with for your upcoming examination. So let's get started. The distance between New Delhi Railway Station and Lucknow Railway Station is 504 kilometers. This distance is covered by a train in 7 hours. So the average speed of the train in meters per second is what? Now, first let's look at the total distance traveled by the train. It's 504 kilometers. So let's just write 504. And what is the time that the train took to cover this distance? It is 7 hours. Therefore, if we divide it by 7, because this is kilometers and this is hours. So if we divide this, we will get 7 sevens are 7, 2s are 14. So we'll get 72 kilometers per hour. So some students who are in a hurry will see 72 as the answer and select option 1. However, this is not correct because we are supposed to calculate this in meters per second and this is in kilometers per hour. So now we need to convert this into meters per second. So what we do is 72 into 1000 because every kilometer has 1000 meters in it. Therefore, this is equal to 72,000 meters, and in 1 hour there are 60 minutes and in every minute there are 60 seconds. There will be 3600 seconds in every minute, in every hour. So if we divide 72,000 by the total number of seconds, we'll get the speed of the train in average speed of the train in meters per second. So if we divide this, we'll get 1s are 20. Therefore, the average speed of the train in meters per second is 20 meters per second. Therefore, the answer is 20 meters per second. A child at X wants to go play with her friend who is located at Y. For this, she first goes 40 meters due south to reach a point called O. After this, she goes towards due east and reaches Y after covering a distance of 30 meters. The distance from X to Y and the direction of X with respect to Y are respectively what? Now let's chart this out in a diagram. The child is at X, so let's put a point and call it X. And from here, she first goes 40 meters due south to reach O. So she traveled 40 meters due south and reached a point called O. So this is 40 meters. And from here, she goes due east and reaches Y after covering a distance of 30 meters, which means that she traveled towards the eastern direction and she reached Y and she had to travel 30 meters to reach Y. Now the distance from X to Y and the direction of X with respect to Y are respectively what? Now the direction of X with respect to Y means if you are standing at Y, what would be the direction of X? So the direction of X would be this. This is northwest. Therefore, the correct answer should have northwest in it. So which means that 50 meters northeast and 70 meters northeast can be eliminated. Now we have two options left. So now we have to calculate the distance between X and Y. And this is a right angle triangle, which means that XY is equal to square root of 40 square and 30 square. So which means that xy is equal to square root of 1600 plus 900. Therefore, xy is equal to square root of 25 hundredths. Therefore, xy is equal to 50. So, the correct answer is 50 meters northwest. So, 50 meters northwest is the correct answer. Select from the following the true statement about sloths. This question has been taken from NCERT Class 5 EVS textbook from a chapter called Super Senses, where there is some information given about an animal called the sloth. It says that it looks like a bear, but it is not. It is a sloth. And there is some information given here saying that it spends almost 17 hours a day sleeping while hanging upside down, and it lives for around 40 years. And in that time, they move only around 8 trees. So let's look at the answer choices. So it should say that the sloths live for 40 years. So the first one says sloths live for 40 years. Okay. The next one says sloth lives for 10 years. Therefore, this can be eliminated. And then sloths live for 40 years. This seems to be correct. And then the last one says sloth lives for 8 years. So this also can be eliminated. So now we have two options left. Now, the next bit of information given here is that in that time they move around 50 trees. The next one says 8 trees. So let's look at which is correct. It says the information in the textbook says that in that time they move only 8 trees. Therefore, 8 trees is the correct answer. Therefore, the third statement that sloths live for around 40 years and in that time they can move around 8 trees is the correct answer. Excess cutting of forests can lead to which of the following possibilities? So we have to identify which of these statements are correct if excess cutting of forests is done. Now this question has been taken from the class 7 science textbook from a chapter called Forests, Our Lifeline. Now, even though the information provided here will help us answer this question, this is also a very simple common sense question. So first statement says nearby areas will become cooler. So if you cut down forests, there is no way that the nearby areas will become cooler, because if you cut down trees, the area around the tree where it would have been otherwise cooler will become hotter. Therefore, statement A is actually incorrect. Therefore, any option which has A in it will also be incorrect. So this can be eliminated and the third one also can be eliminated because both of them have A in it. Next, percolation of rainwater will be reduced. This is correct because forests and trees will stop the rainwater from flowing off fast into the rivers or streams, and they help the rainwater to percolate into the ground and recharge the groundwater. Therefore, this is a correct statement. So the option must have B in it. So B is only in the last option. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. Therefore, by just looking at two statements, we were able to identify the correct answer. However, we'll also look at the other options. The next one is runoff rainwater will carry away soil. This is true because if trees are cut, then the rainwater will run off fast and it will go into the streams and the rivers. So which means that the water which is flowing fast will carry away soil. So this is a correct statement. And the last one, level of groundwater will increase. This is incorrect because when trees are cut, the percolation of rainwater will be reduced. So if percolation of rainwater is reduced, groundwater will actually decrease, not increase. Therefore, the last statement is incorrect. So only B and C are correct statements. Therefore, B and C is the correct answer. On the map of Golconda Fort printed in the class 5 textbook, 1 centimeter is equal to a distance of 110 meters on the ground. On this map, the distance between Patanncheru Darwaja from Fateh Darwaja is 15.4 centimeters. On the ground, the minimum distance between these 2 points would be what? So here it is mentioned that 1 centimeter on this map is equal to 110 meters. And the distance between these 2 points, Patanncheru Darwaja and Fateh Darwaja, is 15.4 centimeters on the map. So we have to calculate what would be the distance in real life. So this is a simple cross multiplication. What we will do is we'll multiply 15.4 into 110. Now we get 1694. Right? So 1694 is actually the meters. Now we have to convert this into kilometers because all the answer choices are in kilometers, and in each kilometer there are 1000 meters. So we have to divide this 1694 by 1000. So we will get 1.694. So the correct answer is 1.694 kilometers. That's the actual distance in real life between Patanncheru Darwaja and Fateh Darwaja. The three neighbouring states surrounding Mizoram are what? Now this is a very important question because almost every year there will be at least one question about the map of India. It will either ask you about the states, where are they located, which ocean or which sea do they have a beach towards, and you will also need to be familiar with the capitals of the various states and the union territories in India. Now coming to this question, this is asking us the three neighbouring states surrounding Mizoram are what? Now if you look at the map of India, if this is Mizoram, then the three states which surround Mizoram are Tripura, Assam and Manipur, because all these three states have a border with Mizoram. Therefore the answer is Assam, Tripura and Manipur. So when we look at the answer choices, the last one, that is Tripura, Assam and Manipur, is the correct answer. In which of the following states or union territories of India, the village council of forests on the hills holds a special meeting and through a lottery decides on which family will get how much land that year for farming? Now this question has been taken from class 5 EVS textbook from a chapter called Whose Forests, in which it is written that in Mizoram, right, there is a special process that is followed wherein the village council or the panchayat will call for a meeting where it is decided by lottery as to which family will get how much land for farming, and the land as such belongs to the whole village and not separate people. Therefore each family will take turns in farming different parts of the land. Now the correct answer here is Mizoram, therefore it would be Mizoram. Mount Everest is a part of which of the following? Now Mount Everest is actually on the border between Tibet and Nepal. While the answer as per the answer key is Nepal, that is Mount Everest is a part of Nepal, it is actually between Nepal and Tibet. So the border between these two places actually runs through Mount Everest. Therefore Tibet also can be a correct answer, Nepal also can be a correct answer. In fact, people who are climbing Mount Everest can climb from the Tibet side or from the Nepal side. Identify a reversible change from the following. Now this question has been taken from the class 6 science textbook from a chapter called Changes Around Us. So we are supposed to identify which of these reactions or changes are reversible. Now the last one, preparing biogas from cow dung. This is not a reversible change because once you have created biogas, you cannot convert it back into cow dung. Therefore this is not reversible. Next, preparing paneer from milk. Same here, once you have prepared paneer, you can't convert that back into milk. Therefore this also is not reversible. Then the first one, that is preparing a coating of plaster of Paris. Now once you mix water in plaster of Paris, just like you mix water in cement, a chemical reaction happens that makes the plaster of Paris into a hard substance. Therefore once you have mixed water to prepare a coating, then you can't reverse it back. So this is also a irreversible reaction. Now preparing molten wax. Now wax, if you melt it, it will become a liquid, but if you let it cool down, then again it will become solid wax. Therefore this is a reversible change. The answer here is preparing molten wax. Consider the following characteristic features of roots found in different trees and plants. So we have been given 5 statements and we have to identify which of these statements are correct with respect to banyan trees. The first one says, looks like hanging branches of the tree, but they are actually its roots. This is correct because if you look at a banyan tree, you'll see branch-like structures which are growing from the branches, but they are going towards the ground. They are hanging from the branches and they either are hanging in the air or they will eventually touch the ground and grow into the ground. So they might look like hanging branches, but they are actually its roots. So statement A is correct. Now when we look at the options, all of them have statement A in them. Therefore this is definitely correct. Next, the length of the root is about 30 times that of the height of the tree. Now this statement has been mentioned in the context of a desert oak in the EVS textbook and not about banyan tree. Therefore this is incorrect. Therefore, we can eliminate any of the answer choices which have B in it. Option 2 has B in it, so eliminate. The last one has B in it, so eliminate. Next, roots providing strong support to the tree like pillars. Now this is a correct statement. If you look at the roots of the banyan tree, which are actually growing from the branches and reaching into the ground, they work like pillars and they give support to the tree. Therefore, C is correct. Now both the remaining options have C in it. Therefore, it is correct. Next, roots storing food materials. Now, unlike a carrot, which is a root which stores food material, the roots of a banyan tree does not store food material. Therefore, this is incorrect. Now, the option C has D in it, which is incorrect. Therefore, we'll eliminate this. So we have only one option left, that is A, C and D, which has to be the correct answer. Now when we look at the last option, that is hanging branches grow and reach deep into the ground. This is a correct statement because these hanging branches are nothing but roots, and these roots actually grow into the ground because they not only provide the function of the root, they also support the tree like pillars. Therefore, statement E is correct. Therefore, A, C and D is the correct answer. Consider the following statements given by a student. I have come from a place where it is a hilly area. At our place, it rains heavily and it snows as well. When it is cold, we like to sit in the sun. Our houses are made of stone or wood. This student must be from which of the following places? Now, this question has been taken from the Class 3 EVS textbook, a chapter called A House Like This, where it is mentioned that a student has come from Manali, which is a hilly area. It rains heavily and snows as well. Therefore, the correct answer here is Manali. Now, even if you have not read this chapter, when you look at all the answer choices, you'll be able to identify that if the place where the student comes from, it snows as well in that place. And you know that in Udaipur, Rajasthan, it doesn't snow. In Chennai, Tamil Nadu, it doesn't snow. And even in Tinsukia, Assam, it doesn't snow, right? So the only place among the options where it will snow is Manali. Therefore, Manali is the correct answer. Your friend remains ill because of weak teeth and bones. Which of the following options is the best for her to recover? Now, this question has been taken from the information given in various chapters such as the NCERT Class 6 Science textbook Components of Food, or the Class 9 textbook Health and Physical Education Diet for Healthy Living. So, it is mentioned that vitamin D helps our body to use calcium for bones and teeth. That is, the body needs calcium for strong bones and teeth. But to absorb this calcium, the body needs vitamin D. Therefore, the food source that we select from here should include from both of these. That is, it should have vitamin D and it should have calcium as well. So when we look at all the answer choices and look at the various types of foods that are mentioned in both of these chapters, we see that milk, vegetable, spinach and fruit are the best set of combinations for getting both vitamin D and calcium. Therefore, the answer is option 3. Consider the following statements about beehives. So we have been given 5 statements here and we have to identify which of these statements are correct with respect to beehives. Now this question has been taken from the Class 4 EVS textbook, a chapter called Anita and the Honeybees. Now, if you look at the statements, the first one says every beehive has many queen bees that lay eggs. This is incorrect because every hive has only one queen bee which will lay eggs. Therefore, A is incorrect, which means that any option which has A in it will also be incorrect. Therefore, we eliminated 2 options right away. So this is the elimination strategy that will help you shortlist the correct answers easily. Next, statement B is there in both the remaining options. Therefore, this has to be correct. So we need not consider that. Next, C is also there in both the remaining options. So this also has to be correct. And D is also there in both the remaining options. So no confusion there. This also has to be correct. Now we have to look at statement E, which says that the male bees are very important for the hive as they help in finding the flowers with nectar. This is not a correct statement because male bees do not do anything else other than just help in fertilizing the eggs. They just stay in the hive for most of their lives. Therefore, this is an incorrect statement. So since E is incorrect, this option which has E in it will also be incorrect. Therefore, the only remaining option is B, C and D, which is the correct answer. Select from the below the characteristics which are found in all the animals given below. Now, there is a list of 5 animals that is mentioned, 3 of which are actually reptiles, that is turtle, python and lizard, and 1 is a bird and 1 is an insect. So now we have to identify which of these statements are applicable to all of these. First one, bodies are covered with scales. Now you know that the body of a honeybee and a lizard are not covered with scale because eagle has feathers. Therefore, this is not applicable to all. Next, can live on land as well as water. You know that eagle and honeybee cannot live in water. Therefore, this is also not applicable to all. Lays eggs. Now, all of these, whether it is turtle, python, eagle, lizard or honeybee, all of them lay eggs. Therefore, this is applicable to all. Next, are poisonous. Now, you know that eagle is not poisonous. Therefore, this also is not applicable to all. And even turtle is not poisonous. Therefore, the only statement that is applicable to all is option C, that is lays eggs. So this is the correct answer here. And this question has been taken from the class 9 science textbook from a chapter called Diversity in Living Organisms. Consider the following statement about earthworms. So if we have been given 5 statements and we have to identify which of these statements are correct about earthworms. This question has been taken from the class 5 EVS textbook from a chapter called A Seed Tells a Farmer's Story, in which there is some information given about earthworms and how they can help farmers, how they convert waste material, that is dead leaves and plants, into fertilizer. So when we look at the statements, the first one says they soften the soil as they keep digging underneath to make tunnels. This is a correct statement. And if you look at the answer options, all of them have statement A in it. Therefore, statement A has to be correct. Next, they eat the dead leaves and plants and their droppings fertilize the soil. Now, this again is a correct statement, because what the earthworms do is they eat the dead leaves and plants in the soil and their excreta, that is their waste, actually becomes a fertilizer. Now, since B is correct, any option which does not have B in it will be incorrect. The first one does not have B, therefore this can be eliminated. The other 3 have B in it. Next, statement C says they turn the waste into compost. This is correct because the dead leaves and the dead plants, which are the waste, are turned into compost by the earthworms. Right? Because when they eat these dead leaves and plants, the excreta or the waste of the earthworms is the fertilizer. Therefore, statement C is correct. Therefore, any of the options which does not have C in it will be incorrect. Now, as you can see, the second statement does not have C. Therefore, this is incorrect. The last one also does not have C. Therefore, this is also incorrect. So, the correct answer has to be option 3, that is A, B and C. Next, they produce compost which is costlier than the fertilizers made in factories. This is an incorrect statement because the fertilizer that is produced by earthworms is much cheaper than the fertilizers made in factories. And the correct answer does not have D in it. Next, spraying chemicals, that is pesticide, does not affect the earthworms. This is also an incorrect statement because if you spray chemicals, that is pesticides, then the earthworms will also be killed. Therefore, the correct answer should not have E in it, and the correct answer does not have E in it. Therefore, the correct answer is A, B and C. The child-centered nature of environmental studies at primary level is due to which of the following? Now there are 4 options here, so we have to select which of these are correct. Now, activity-based learning. This is correct because in EVS there is a prioritization, or there is a lot of importance given to activity-based learning, that is hands-on, practical, experimental learning. Therefore, this is correct. Next, rote learning. Now, if you look at what has been given in the class 5 EVS textbook, a note for teachers and parents, it specifically says that rote learning, that is just memorization without understanding the concept or understanding the subject, is discouraged. Therefore, this is incorrect. Next, textbook based learning. This is also incorrect because what is specifically written in the EVS syllabus document and in the introduction part of all the textbooks is that textbook is not the only source of information or the only source of learning for children. So children can be taught through the teachers, through the parents, through the community. Therefore, there are multiple sources of knowledge for the children, not just textbooks. Therefore, C is incorrect. The last one, involvement of the school, home and community for the learning. This is correct because if you look at what is the main meaning of child-centered nature of environmental studies, it means that the child is at the center of the learning process and the learning is happening through the school, through the home and through community, and this is child-centric learning. Therefore, the last one, that is involvement of the school, home and community for learning, is correct because that is child-centered. Now the correct option should have A and D in it. Therefore, A and D only is the answer. The objective of environmental studies at a primary level is which of the following? Now, if you look at the NCERT learning outcomes at elementary stage document or the NCF document, there are a few objectives of environmental studies that are mentioned there. And even if you look at the syllabus documents of EVS class 3, 4 and 5, you will get similar information. Now, we look at the statements. The first one says to encourage children to reflect on their own learning. This is absolutely correct because what happens in EVS is children are given some ideas and some concepts and some information in the school. They also get some information, ideas, concepts from their family or from their parents and their friends and community. So children reflect on all these bits and pieces of information that they have received from different sources. They put it together, they reflect on it and they develop their own learning. And this is one of the underlying principles of how EVS is taught and learnt. Therefore, statement A is correct. Next, to make children be able to solve environmental problems. If you look at EVS syllabus, there are problems like pollution, wastage of things which are mentioned there. Therefore, statement B is also correct because by teaching children about pollution, by teaching them about how resources are wasted, resources like water are wasted by the people around them. So they can solve such problems at their own level. Therefore, B is also correct. Next, to engage children to create new knowledge. This is also a correct statement and this is what is being mentioned in statement A as well, saying that children get some information from the school, from their teachers, from the textbook, from their parents and from the community, and they put together all these bits and pieces of information and they create their own new knowledge. Therefore, this is also correct. Now the last one says to treat children as a receiver of a fixed body of knowledge. This is an incorrect statement. This is also known as a jug and mug approach, where you treat children as a jug into which knowledge is being poured by the teacher or by the school. And under this approach, you assume that children don't have any active role in the development of the knowledge, just receive the information that is given by the teacher and the school. Therefore, this is incorrect. Therefore, the correct option should have A, B and C. Therefore, A, B and C is the correct answer. Which of the following statements is true in relation to environmental studies at primary level? Now, when we look at the statements, the first one says environmental studies integrates the concepts and issues of science, social science and environmental education. Now, this is a correct statement and this is also mentioned in the EVS syllabus document, in the introductory part of the EVS textbooks, and if we refer to the NCF, even that says that EVS is essentially an integration of science, social science and environmental education. Therefore, the first option is correct. Let's also look at the other options. The next one says uses a single teaching learning method for developing creativity. This is incorrect because EVS uses a lot of techniques. They can use textbook method, they can use experimentation, they can use field visits, they can use discussions. So a lot of teaching and learning methods are used. A number of teaching and learning methods are used for developing creativity. Therefore, this is incorrect. Next, EVS textbook are the only source for its learning. If you look at the introduction part of the EVS textbook, it is clearly mentioned that the textbook is not the only source of information. Children can learn at school through their teachers, at home through their parents or elders, through the community, through their friends. Therefore, textbook is not the only source of knowledge. Therefore, this is also incorrect. The last one is it is teaching based. This is also incorrect because EVS is teaching based, it is experimentation based, it is observation based, it is self-learning, it is reflection on the information that is given. So there are lots of approaches to EVS that are used for the teaching and learning process. Therefore, The only correct option here is the first one, that is EVS integrates science, social science and environmental education. Therefore, that is the correct answer. The challenge for EVS learning at a primary level is which of the following? Now this question can be answered by referring to the NCERT Class 5 EVS textbook, A Note for Teachers and Parents, where it is clearly mentioned that the real challenge is to provide children with opportunities to express, learn by doing, ask questions and experiment. Right? When we look at the answer choices, the last one has to give opportunities to the children to construct knowledge for themselves. That is, to express, to learn by doing, to ask questions and experiment. So these are the real challenges when it comes to teaching and learning of EVS. Therefore, the last statement is correct. If you look at the other three options, we can also see why they are incorrect, because the first one says rote learning, which is memorization, right? So rote learning is something which is not a challenge. You just give children a list, or you give them some passages or some information and say that you have to memorize this. They will memorize this. So that is definitely not a challenge. So rote learning cannot be a challenge. Next, memory based level of learning. Now this again is nothing but just rote learning or memorization. So it is not a challenge. Next, description of concepts. Descriptions are available in textbooks. You can just Google them and you'll find it in Wikipedia or any of the other sources. So description of concepts is not a challenge at all. It is teaching those concepts and ideas to children and making them understand the implication of those concepts in real life. That is the challenge. Therefore, descriptions are not a challenge at all. Therefore, this also can be eliminated. What should be maximum in the EVS classroom for children? Now, there are 4 options here, and the meaning of this question is this: none of these are actually incorrect. All of them are used in the EVS classroom. However, which of these must be maximized in the classroom? Which of these are beneficial for children to learn EVS concepts and techniques and ideas? Now, when we look at the 4 options, the last one is facts and information. And if we refer to the NCF document, it also says that mere facts and information should be minimized, and children should get an opportunity to learn hands-on, that is experiential learning. And children like stories and narratives because they learn a lot through stories and narratives, and they are actually interested in stories and narratives rather than just theory. Therefore, that also should be maximized. And provision for debates, that is, a child will learn a lot through their interaction with their peers. Therefore, A, B and C, all the 3 should be maximized. And facts and information, that is just descriptions or definitions, should be minimized. Therefore, A, B and C is the correct answer. Therefore, option 3, that is A, B and C, will be the correct answer here. Sub-theme in the syllabus of EVS at a primary level is which of the following? As you are aware, EVS has 6 themes, that is family and friends, food, water, shelter, travel and things we make and do. And under the first theme, that is family and friends, there are 4 sub-themes, which are relationships, work and play, animals and plants. Now, if we look at the options, family and friends, shelter and travel are all themes, whereas plants is actually a sub-theme under family and friends. Therefore, the correct answer is plants. Meaningful learning of EVS can be given through which of the following? Now, this question can be answered on the basis of the information given in the NCERT learning outcomes of the elementary stage document, or the EVS syllabus, or even the introduction part of the various EVS textbooks. So all these different sources talk about things like integrated and thematic approach. They also talk about experimentation and the use of stories and narratives. So if we look at all the options, right? The first is by organizing EVS content thematically. This is correct because EVS is organized in the form of themes. There are 6 themes in EVS. Therefore, this is correct. Next, by real dialogues and narratives. This is also correct because narratives or stories are some things which children enjoy a lot and it keeps them interested. And if you teach concepts and theories by way of narratives and stories, children can understand it better and relate to it better. Therefore, this is also correct. Next is by experimentations. Now, by experimentation is something which is given a lot of importance in EVS, because EVS says more than theory, children should learn by doing things, by experimentation, by observation. Therefore, experimentation and practical hands-on experience is given more importance and prominence in EVS. Therefore, A, B and C are all correct statements. Now, if you look at the answer choices, we have to select 3 correct statements because the maximum number of statements given in any option is 3. Therefore, we already know that A, B, C are correct. Therefore, A, B and C. This has to be the correct option. The last one, by oral assessment of answers given by students. Right? This is an incorrect statement because assessment in EVS is not just done by oral assessment. It can be done through written assessments, to projects, through discussions. So there are lots of assessment techniques that can be used in EVS. Therefore, only oral assessment is not the technique used. Therefore, this is incorrect. Therefore, A, B, C is the correct answer. In relation to EVS, contextualizing means what? To answer this question, we can refer to the NCERT learning outcomes at the elementary stage document, which talks about age appropriate and contextual learning in case of EVS teaching and learning. Or we can answer this question if we understand what does this contextual or context means, right? Now I'll give you a small example. If we say that a person was going at 20 kilometers per hour, and if the context is that he was actually going 20 kilometers per hour in a car, it means that he was actually going slow. Whereas if we say he was going 20 kilometers per hour and if the context is that he was going 20 kilometers per hour in a cycle, then he was going quite fast. So the context of this 20 kilometers per hour changes depending on what was the mode of travel. And this 20 kilometers per hour can be either fast or slow depending on whether the person is going on a cycle or in a car. So the context is the relation of two things. So that is a very simple meaning of the term context. So now another example of contextualizing is if I'm teaching about food to young children. So if I talk about popular food items like ravioli, penne, fusilli, so will the children be able to understand what I'm talking about? Because these are different types of pasta. So these are not very common food items in everybody's house. Whereas if I talk about chapati, roti, fulka and naan, right? So children know that I'm talking about food items because these are popular and in almost everybody's house, these types of food items, these are Indian food items which are made. So now that you understood the meaning of context, let's look at the answer options. The first one says learning EVS from simple to complex. This is correct, but this is not an example of contextualizing. So we'll eliminate this. Next, learning of EVS from known to unknown. This is also correct. However, this is not an example of contextualizing. Next, learning of EVS through examples. This is quite close to what we mean by contextualizing, but this is still not the best option. However, let's look at the next option. Next one says learning EVS contents by relating it to real life situations and immediate environment of the learners. Now this is the best answer here in terms of what contextualizing means. For example, if I'm teaching EVS content and I'm relating it to real life situations and the immediate environment of the learners, that is, if I'm talking about food and I relate it to what the children can see in their immediate environment, such as chapati, roti, fulka, naan. So this is where the children can understand what I'm talking about. Therefore, I'm talking in the context of their real life situation and immediate environment. And this is the best answer here. Issues of the theme food can be meaningful and authentic to students if which of the following are followed. Now, when you come across questions like this, when you read through the options, the correct answer as far as EVS is concerned will always be the answer which has the most experiential, hands-on or practical aspect to it. Because if you look at the NCERT class 5 EVS, a note for teachers and parents, which is the introductory part, there is a repeated mention of discussion in small groups and activities in requiring hands-on experience. And it also talks about group learning, promoting peer learning and improving social interactions. And then again, there is a mention that children should be assessed based on how they observe and discuss in groups. Therefore, there is a lot of emphasis given to discussions and activities requiring hands-on experience. Therefore, look at the answer choices. The first one says group work and discussions are conducted around the issues. This is the correct answer because children learn a lot by relating to each other, by talking to each other, by discussing with each other, by learning from their friends, from their surroundings, from their family, peers, teachers, everybody, right? Therefore, by giving them group work and discussions, they can learn a lot from the environment around them. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. If you look at the other options, quizzes are conducted. Quizzes are nothing but just simple assessments of whether the child knows something or doesn't know something. So this cannot be meaningful and authentic. So eliminate this. Next, demonstrations are given by teacher. This is better than just conducting quizzes. However, this is still not the best option. This can be eliminated. Next, textbooks as resources are involved. Now, textbooks are a very limited source of learning in EVS, because the EVS textbook itself says that EVS learning should go much beyond what the textbooks offer, and the learning should happen through the teachers, through their friends, through peers, through family, community. Therefore, textbooks as a resource are involved is a very, very brief and a very small point as far as EVS teaching and learning is concerned. Therefore, this cannot be the correct answer. Therefore, the best answer among the 4 options is group work and discussions. Which of the following are very good resources for EVS learning? Now, if you refer to the NCERT class 345 EVS syllabus document, it repeatedly talks about the importance of visits, field trips, and experiential learning. Right? Therefore, that should help you identify which is the correct answer. And even if you just look at the answer choices, Facebook is definitely not a good resource for EVS learning. Eliminate. Twitter, again, absolutely not. Eliminate. School library is a good resource. However, what you'll find in school library is only books and textbooks. And option 1 says organization of field trips. Now, field trips give an opportunity for children to actually see, observe, and understand things in real life. Therefore, this has to be the best answer. Therefore, this is the correct answer. Issues related to the water theme can be learnt effectively if which of the following are conducted. Now, whenever you see EVS pedagogy related question, you can easily identify the correct answer by giving importance to activities which are more hands-on, which are experiential, where children can actually participate, right? And if it is something where it is only about writing or reading, then that is the least effective way of teaching any EVS theme. Therefore, when we look at the answer choices, the last one says children are asked to write an essay. Now, writing essays is extremely boring for children, and that too, EVS, we are talking about class 3, 4, 5 children. So if you make class 3, 4, 5 children write essays, then it is definitely very boring for them. Therefore, D is an incorrect option. Therefore, any option which has D in it has to be incorrect. Therefore, C and D only is incorrect, and D only is also incorrect. Now we are left with 2 options. Now the first one says role plays are encouraged. Role plays are definitely like dramas, and these are interesting for children. They can understand their own part, they can understand the context, they can understand other children's dialogue as well. Therefore, role plays, stories and narratives are very, very important when it comes to teaching EVS. Therefore, this is correct. Next, real dialogues among children are encouraged. Correct, because when children are encouraged to talk between themselves, and one child might say, the source of water in my house is a tap, because that person or that child comes from a urban family where taps are there in every house, whereas a child from a rural area might say the source of water in our house is a well. So that child knows more about groundwater, whereas the child who has a tap in the house might not actually have an understanding of what groundwater is all about. Therefore, real dialogues among children help in peer learning. Therefore, this is correct. Next, structured field trips are organized. Now, definitely field trips, visits are very, very important in EVS. Therefore, this is also correct. Therefore, A, B and C, all the 3 are correct. Therefore, the first option A, B and C has to be the correct answer. And even if we refer to the NCERT classes 3, 4, 5 syllabus document, there is a lot of emphasis given on visits and field trips and experiential learning. Therefore, the first 3 A, B and C are correct. EVS textbooks contain real incidents for learning of EVS because of which of the following? Now, if you look at an EVS textbook, and if we just have some theoretical lesson about the Indian freedom struggle, right? I talk about colonization of India by the Britishers and how India won freedom. If it is a very theoretical and a dry lesson, then children can't understand, children can't relate to it. But if I include real incidents such as what happened in Jallianwala Bagh, what happened during the Dandi March, what was the Quit India movement. So if I relate all these different incidents and use them as an example to teach children about what freedom struggle was all about, then they'll be able to understand it better. Therefore, these real incidents are a very rich source of learning. This is correct. Then they provide contextual environment for the children, right? Because if I talk about Dandi March, we can say that how the Britishers imposed tax on salt and why Gandhiji led a march so that we could make salt from the sea for free and therefore disobey the British. Therefore, there was a contextual reason behind why this Dandi March happened. Therefore, they can understand the entire freedom struggle better. Therefore, it is a real life incident, provide a contextual environment. The next statement says they provide opportunity to revisit familiar earlier events. This is also true because a lot of these incidents would be forgotten if we don't actually include them in our lessons and don't actually read about them. Therefore, these inclusion of such real life incidents give children an opportunity to understand about them, to read about them, and these are events that should be remembered. These are lessons that we have learnt from history. Therefore, they provide an opportunity to revisit familiar earlier events. So this is also a correct statement. Therefore, A, B and C, all the three are correct. Now if you look at the answer choices, the best answer here is A, B and C because all the three are included. Therefore, this has to be the correct answer. Next, teachers can conduct teaching and learning process around themes of EVS easily. Right? So this might or might not be correct. This is definitely not an incorrect statement. However, since we have to identify the three strongest options, A, B and C are the correct answer here. Focus of assessment on improvement in learning is which of the following? Now there are three concepts of assessment that are spoken about in EVS. One is assessment for learning, assessment of learning and assessment as learning. And these three are very important because frequently there are questions around one or more of these. And I have covered them in detail in one of the other videos on our channel. So you can watch that to get an understanding of what these three different concepts of assessment are. Now if we refer to the NCERT Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation Guidelines, there is a mention that assessment for learning, which happens during rather than after the teaching and learning process, has a focus on the ongoing improvement of learning. Therefore, here the correct answer is assessment for learning. Therefore, assessment for learning, that is option 1, is the correct answer here. Peer assessment in EVS is which of the following? Now, peer assessment is where the children are giving feedback to each other. So, the assessment is being done by their peers. Now, there are three concepts of assessment, that is assessment as learning, assessment of learning and assessment for learning. And you should be thoroughly familiar with these three concepts because almost every year there will be at least one or two questions around these. And I have covered them in detail in another video on our channel. Now, coming to this question, if you refer to the NCERT Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation Guidelines document, peer assessment is mentioned under assessment as learning and also under assessment for learning. Now, when we look at the answer choices, assessment as learning is mentioned here. Assessment for learning is not mentioned. Therefore, the correct answer is A only. Therefore, A only is the answer here. An EVS teacher uses an assessment tool that collects not just the best, but all kinds of the child's work or activities done over a period of time. So the teacher is using which of the following? Now, these are all different tools of assessment that are used in EVS, and you should be completely familiar with rubrics, portfolio, anecdotal records, and observation sheets. And almost every year there will be at least one or two questions based on this. So you should be completely familiar and you should have a good understanding of what all of these are, and I have covered them in detail in another video on our channel. Now, coming to the specific question, a portfolio is essentially a file or a folder or a packet or a space in a almirah or a rack, right, where the child's entire activities for the period of time, it might be a month, it might be half yearly, or it might be the complete year. So all the activities and all the worksheets, all the drawings, all the assignments, essays, everything is stored in one place. So that by looking at the portfolio, any person can understand what the child has learnt over the entire period of time. If it is at the end of the year, then by looking at the portfolio, you can get a good understanding of what the child has actually done in school over the entire year. Therefore, A portfolio is the assessment tool that collects all kind of the child's works or activities, right, over a period of time. So this is the correct answer. And with this, we have completed all the 30 EVS questions in this question paper. If you have any questions, comments or feedback, please post them in the comments below. Please do like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And for your friends who are preparing for the same or similar exams, please do share this video with them so that you can help them out and you'll also help our channel. So thank you, stay safe, and I will see you again shortly in the next video.